Welcome to Ask Fear and Greed, where we take your questions and do our best to answer them. I'm Michael Thompson, and good afternoon, Sean Aylmer.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Now, Sean, today's question comes from Jonathan, and he shared it via LinkedIn. And there's a little bit of context to this one. It did come about because we were talking about oil, and we were talking about Brent Crude on Fear and Greed, and I volunteered a bit of my own research, which doesn't happen very often, does it?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you where Brent Crude got its name from. And you said, look, there are plenty of other types of oil and plenty of other names out there, and maybe we should do it on Ask Fear and Greed, but only if the request came from outside the Fear and Greed team. And of course, Jonathan stepped up to the challenge and he sent this question in through LinkedIn. He goes, "Hi team, I'm aware of West Texas Intermediate oil and Brent Crude oil, but I was wondering, is that it? Or are there loads of other oil variants with many other names that for some reason we just don't care to remember or care to mention?" Over to you. Jonathan understood the assignment here.
He did.
And he's given you some homework.
Well, to be honest, it's kind of like a little embarrassing, this, because there are some really obvious other types of oil which I didn't think about, and they are actually comparable to West Texas Intermediate and Brent, and these are all the vegetable oils. Think olive oil, canola, peanut, avocado, sunflower, palm.
Oh, see, I don't consider like if
No, I didn't. I'm with you totally.
If you can't put it in your car, you don't kind of think of it, do you?
But the point is that some of these vegetable oils are being used, like these biofuels, are being used to power transport.
Yeah, great point.
So, however, having said that, let's just bring it back to something that you think might be able to power your car. So we'll leave all those oils aside. So we have Brent, we have West Texas Intermediate, we have Platts, Dubai Crude it's called, Platts. We have the OPEC reference basket. We have Shanghai Crude, Tapas Crude. Tapas you've probably heard of.
I've eaten tapas.
You don't eat it. It's crude. Yeah, I know. Urals Oil and Bonnie Light. So what's that? 7 different types of oil. Actually, if you include Brent, it's 8 different types of oil.
Can I ask, are they actually, I'm probably preempting what you're about to tell me right now, but are these actually different types of oil, or are they different kind of benchmark, like different kind of pricing structures, or are they actually a different variety of oil if you were to put them in a glass jar side by side?
Yeah, you sort of answered your question. Basically, it's where they come from.
Okay.
Or where they're sold. That's broadly the answer.
Gotcha.
So oil is actually one of the most critical commodities in the world. You know, it's used in transport, manufacturing, power generation. Pretty much oil prices impact all of our lives, you know, in some way. Brent Crude is definitely the main benchmark, but they've got all those others, West Texas, Platts, Shanghai Crude, Tapas, etc. Now, we're talking about a big market. It's supposed to be about $2.7 trillion US. About 2/3 of oil contracts is Brent. That's why we talk about it so much. And Brent is based on the oil extracted from oil and gas fields in the North Sea in northwest Europe. Now, as an oil, it's considered lower density, lower sulfur content. In fact, they talk about it as being sweet and light. So its uses...
Actually sounds quite tasty.
It does. Its uses... Tapas. Its uses for transport may be better than some of the others, for example. So there is a difference between the oils. But it does come... That very much depends where it comes from. Now, you told us an interesting little bit of trivia that Brent Crude was originally named by the Shell UK company, and they used to name different types of oil by geese, you said. And it's the Brent goose, and that's actually where it came from. But it's also what they call a backronym. Don't you like this? Backronym.
What the heck is a backronym?
Well, I presume it's... Well, can you Google what backronym is while I just keep going? But basically, the different layers of an oil field start with a B and R and E and N and T. So it's Broom, Rennick, Etive, E-T-I-V-E, Ness, and Tarbear. And you put those together, it comes up with Brent. So I think that's like being backfilled to suit the Brent Goose. That's my theory.
Well, a backronym is an acronym deliberately formed from a phrase whose initial letters spell out a particular word or words. Yeah, there you go. So it is like a back acronym, like produced the other way around. Okay.
Yeah. So not only do you know about oil, we're finding about backronyms. Anyway, the other thing about Brent Crude, it's waterborne, right? So you get it from the ocean. The oil fields in oceans lower the cost of transport. West Texas is the other big one. It's landlocked, like it's in West Texas. So the actual supply of that depends on pipeline capacity. That's much harder because Brent Crude is easy to transport. Brent Crude, of course, can be refined into petrol, diesel, jet fuel, other fuels more easily and affordable because it's high quality oil, because it's got less sulfur. It's actually easier to make into petrol and diesel and things like that.
Because it's sweet and light.
Because it's sweet and light, Michael. That is exactly right.
I was listening.
It's also used in stuff like cell phones and laptops, CD, lipstick, aspirin, plastics, adhesives, solvents. There you go. A lot going on. So
the waterborne element, like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. You get it out of you drill it, put it on a boat and take it to wherever you want. You don't have to shift it through pipelines.
Oh, goodness me, I've learned some stuff today.
Oh, this is fascinating. I'm very appreciative of the question. Would never have thought of it myself.
Maybe we should ask listeners to ask us specific questions again in the future based on the things that we want to learn more about.
Yeah, but that sulfur content is really, I think probably the defining factor, apart from location and how it's priced, the actual why it's in such high demand is that sulfur factor.
Well, Jonathan, JK, thank you.
JK.
Thank you for the question. You know what I did? What I've done, Sean? In exchange for JK asking us this question via LinkedIn, I have arranged for him to receive a Mia mug, one of our limited edition, hyper exclusive mugs.
Hyper exclusive.
That are reserved for the most enthusiastic advocates of fear and greed. And he got that because he responded to this challenge
within an hour,
put out on the podcast within an hour, and I just thought that was worthy of a Mia mug.
Absolutely,
he has done a good job. JK has done a fantastic job, and so have you, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. It's very generous of you.
That's what I'm here for. Remember, if you've got something that you'd like to know, then send through your question on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, or at fearandgreed.com.au. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is Ask Fear and Greed.